The alien who mocked human Zalari stood tall in the training arena, her arms crossed, her golden eyes sharp and full of pride. She belonged to the Zarnai, a warrior race feared across the galaxy. Her skin was a smooth silver blue, and her long, spiked tail twitched with boredom. In her eyes, humans were weak, soft, emotion-driven creatures that spoke too much and bled too fast. And now, she was being forced to train with one. "Which one is mine?" she asked coldly, her voice echoing in the metal hall. The officer pointed to a man in the far corner, quiet, standing still, arms folded behind his back. "Cade," the officer said. "Human, Earthborn, rank, combat specialist." Zalari looked him over with clear disapproval. He was tall, muscular, and wore basic black armor. His expression was calm, like he didn't care she was there. That annoyed her. She smirked. He looked slow. Cade didn't speak. Zalari walked up to him, circling like a predator. "You will train with me today. Try not to embarrass yourself, human." Still, no reply. He only nodded once. The first training round began. She moved fast, blindingly fast. Her claws slashed through the air as she tested his reflexes. Cade dodged cleanly but didn't strike back. He moved with control, not panic. That annoyed her more. "Why don't you fight?" she asked after the fifth dodge. "Waiting," he said simply. "For what?" "For you to stop playing." Her eyes narrowed. "You dare mock me?" Cade gave a small shrug. "You started it." By the end of the first hour, sweat ran down her neck. Not because he was better, but because he made no mistakes. She pushed, kicked, swiped, and growled. He blocked, ducked, and moved like water. No arrogance, no anger, just patience. To her, that was insulting. To Zarnai, battle was pride, roaring, dominance. And this human just stood there like a statue. The next day, it got worse. During drills, she poked him in the side with her tail. "You move like an old bot," she said. No answer. She slapped the back of his neck during a turn. "Wake up, human. Or are you scared to fight a real warrior?" Still, calm, the other aliens around the arena chuckled. Zalari fed off their laughter. She stepped in close during rest. Too close. Her breath touched his cheek. "What is it? Can't speak unless ordered?" Finally, Cade turned his head slightly. He looked her in the eyes, not with anger, with warning. She should have backed away. But she didn't. She reached forward and touched his jaw. A simple push. An insult in her culture. That was her mistake. It happened in 1 second. Cade's hand grabbed her wrist. Not hard, but firm. His eyes locked with hers. And then, he leaned forward and bit her shoulder. Not with hate. Not to tear. Skin, but sharp enough to make her freeze. Everyone went silent. Zalari jerked back, her hand on her shoulder, face burning. The touch of his teeth stayed there like fire. "You bit me," she said, shocked. Cade stood still. "You touched me." She blinked fast. "Do you know what that means in my culture?" "Yes," he said. "Do you know what it means in mine?" She stormed out of the arena, rage and confusion battling inside her chest. The mark on her shoulder throbbed, not in pain, but with something else. Confusion. Heat. Power. No one had ever touched her like that. No one dared. And the worst part? She hadn't stopped him. That night, Zalari sat alone in her chamber, staring at the mark in the mirror. Her skin had healed, but her pride had not. What was this human? Why did that one bite feel stronger than a dozen battles? She clenched her fists. Tomorrow she would show him who truly held power. He bit her. The next morning, the training hall felt colder. Zalari walked in wearing full-body armor made of dark obsidian metal, her shoulders high and her tail still. Every alien on the base stepped aside as she passed. Her eyes were locked on only one target, the human. Cade stood near the wall again, calm, silent, his face unreadable. He was cleaning the edge of a training blade like nothing had happened yesterday. But something had happened. He bit her, and her body still remembered it. She walked straight up to him, her boots loud on the metal floor. Other trainees paused their drills to watch. Solari stood inches from Cade and growled low. "You crossed a line, human." He didn't look up. "So did you. You bit me. You poked the beast," he said, her fists clenched. "Among my kind, that act is only used for two things, a fight for rank or acclaim." Cade's eyes finally met hers. "Then pick one." The air between them grew heavy. She had expected him to beg, to explain, to laugh it off. But he didn't flinch. Didn't blink. He was challenging her, and worse, a part of her liked it. The commander walked by and noticed them. "Problem?" "No, Commander," Cade said without hesitation. Galactic gave a forced smile. "None at all." But inside, she was boiling. This human had marked her in front of others, and now everyone stared at her differently. Whispers followed her through the hall. Did the human really bite her? She didn't even hit him back. Is she bonded? That last word made her heart twist. She stormed out of the training room after only one round of drills. Back in her quarters, she locked the door and pulled up the old teachings of her people, scanning files, analyzing biology, searching for answers. Her screen blinked with a phrase, "If a warrior accepts the bite, she accepts the bond. If she does not strike back, the challenge is complete." Salari's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't struck back. Not then. Not now. She touched her shoulder where the bite had been. Her skin had healed, but something deeper had not. Her blood ran hot. Her mind kept flashing back to the moment. His strength, his stillness, his teeth. Later that evening, she went to the medical wing, pretending to check her battle scars. But her real reason was hidden. She had asked the medbot to scan her brain activity, hormone levels, nerve responses. The results made her step back. All signs matched early bonding state from a single bite. She slammed her fist into the wall. "No. Not possible. I control my body. I am Zarnai. I am elite," the bot buzzed quietly. "Emotional distress detected. Would you like calming serum?" "Shut up," she muttered. Suddenly, her communicator beeped. A message from Cade. Just one line. Still, feeling it? She stared at the screen. How did he know? Was he mocking her? Or was he warning her? She replied, "You'll regret that bite." The reply came fast. "I don't regret anything real." Her heart thumped harder. That night she couldn't sleep. The mark, the messages, the stare. This wasn't just a human. This was someone who had turned her world upside down with a single move. Not by force, not by anger, but by knowing exactly what she feared most. Losing control. The bite meant Morxilari woke before sunrise. Her heartbeat was too fast. Her thoughts were heavy. Something was wrong, but not with her body. It was something deeper. She sat in front of her mirror, silent. Her silver blue skin looked the same. Her eyes glowed like always, but inside her chest was a heat she couldn't explain. No wounds, no sickness, just the bite. And how her body kept remembering it. On Zarnai homeworlds, biting during battle was rare, but sacred. It was used to show dominance or claim. If accepted, it triggered a physical response, stronger reflexes, focused vision, and bonding. Solari thought it was just a myth. Now she wasn't sure. Her mind was sharper, her senses stronger. She heard footsteps in the hallway before they even reached her door. "Solari," her cousin Yura whispered through the communicator. "I heard what happened." "Stay out of it," Solari snapped. "You let him bite you?" "It wasn't like that," Yura hissed. "It's already spreading across the stations. You're bonded. Every species knows what that means." Solari slammed her fist against the desk. "I didn't choose this, but your body did." The line went silent. Later, in the training hall, everyone watched her with new eyes. Some looked with fear, others with envy. A Zarne warrior marked by a human. It was unthinkable. She walked past them without flinching, but her skin burned under their stares. And there he was, Cade. Standing at the far end of the hall, arms folded again, eyes calm as ever, as if nothing had happened. Today's training was hand-to-hand. Solari stepped onto the mat without being called. Her boots hit the floor hard. Cade walked up silently. The instructor blinked. Pairing already decided? We're fighting, Solari said. Cade said nothing, only stepped forward. Everyone circled around, whispering. The match started fast. Solari struck first, elbow to ribs, knee to thigh. Her speed was brutal, her moves sharper than before. Cade blocked and dodged but didn't strike back. You think I'm weak now? She hissed. No, he said. Then fight me. I'm not here to fight you. Then why bite me? Cade leaned in during a hold, his voice low. To see what would wake you up. She froze. His hand gripped her wrist. Not tight, just firm. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Everyone watched, waiting for violence. Instead, she broke the hold and stepped back, breathing hard. Match over, no blood, no winner, just silence. That night, Solari couldn't eat, couldn't train, couldn't think straight. She ran tests on herself again. Brain, heart, muscles. The results were clear. Her body had accepted the bond, and there was only one way to undo it, by rejecting him completely. But every time she tried to imagine hurting him, something inside her pulled back. Not fear, not weakness, something else. She opened her communicator again. One message. Simple. Why me? The reply came after minutes. Because you needed someone stronger than pride. The next day, she didn't show up for training. Instead, she walked to the observation deck alone. Outside, a storm of solar winds lit up the stars in blue and green waves. It was beautiful. For the first time, she wondered, what if strength wasn't only in claws? What if dominance wasn't only in control? And what if the human hadn't claimed her, but had seen her, truly seen who she was under the armor? She didn't know yet, but her body had already chosen its answer. His past was a weapon. Solari sat alone in the dark chamber of the data archive. Her hands hovered over the console. She had hesitated for hours before coming here. Part of her didn't want to know more about him. The other part, the stronger part, had to. She had to understand what he was, who he really was. Because no ordinary human bit a Zarne and walked away unchanged. She typed in his name. Cade V. Stratus. The screen blinked. Restricted files. Military grade. She entered her officer code, only used in emergencies. The files opened, and what she saw chilled her blood. Operation Black River. Earth Siege Protocols. Survivor, Sector Delta. 4 Massacre. Images appeared. Explosions. Blood. Burned buildings. Dozens of alien bodies. Mutated beasts. Elite assassins. Fallen soldiers. And one figure standing in the center of it all. Cade covered in dirt and blood. Alone. Alive. Solari leaned closer. A report from a Zarnai scout team read, Subject is extremely dangerous. Not just strong, but calculated. Displays controlled aggression. Patient silent. Will not strike first unless provoked. Once provoked, unstoppable. Should be monitored at all times. Another note written in alien code said, he let himself be reassigned to peacekeeping. He's not weak. He's just waiting. Solari's claws tapped against the console slowly. He wasn't soft. He was dormant. A volcano pretending to be a stone. She sat back, stunned. All this time, she had treated him like a slow creature from a lesser world. But he had survived battles that made her world look like training grounds. And she had poked him, mocked him, tried to dominate someone who had once taken down a killing unit barehanded in the ice fields of Ganira Prime. Her heart pounded. What had she awakened with that bite? Later that day, she entered the training room. Cade stood near the wall again. Same spot, same silence. She walked toward him, slow and calm this time. His eyes met hers. "You read it," he said quietly. She nodded. "You're not what I thought," she said. "You are," he replied. "Stronger than most. Just not used to someone who doesn't flinch." She tilted her head. "Why did you hide your past?" "Because people fear monsters. They don't train with them." "You're not a monster," she said. He leaned closer. "Then stop treating me like I'm weak." That night, Zalari stood on the rooftop of the base, staring at the twin moons above. Her mind was spinning. She thought she had bitten off more than she could control. But in truth, she was the one being changed. Cade hadn't dominated her with force. He hadn't needed to. His calmness was strength. His silence was power. His control over himself was unmatched. He was the only one who had ever made her feel small. But strangely, for the first time, it didn't feel like weakness. It felt like respect. She tapped her wrist communicator and sent one sentence. "Tomorrow I want a rematch." "No, rules." His reply came seconds later. "Then be ready. I won't hold back this time." She smiled. For the first time in her life, she was excited to lose, just to see what else he could show her. The challenge. The arena was silent. No training bells, no commands, no instructors. Only soldiers gathered on the balconies above, watching from every species. Word had spread fast. The Zarnai warrior who was bitten by a human was challenging him, again, without rules. Zalari stood at the center, her armor stripped down to the basics, no weapons, no tech, just instinct. She didn't want tools. She wanted truth. Cade walked in calmly, no armor at all. Just black fabric around his chest and arms, light boots, and a blank expression. He looked at her, not like a rival, like someone who had already made peace with what would happen. The crowd held its breath. Zalari cracked her knuckles. "Ready? To be humbled, human?" Cade's voice was quiet. "Only if you're ready to feel what it means." The signal light turned green. The match began. Zalari moved first, fast as thunder, a kick aimed at his ribs. Cade blocked it with his forearm and spun around her, using her own momentum to push her forward. She didn't fall, but she stumbled. He didn't attack. She came again. Elbow, knee, fist. Cade parried all of it with smooth, focused motions, never striking back, only testing her, the crowd whispered. She's faster. He's calmer. Why won't he hit her? Finally, Zalari screamed in frustration and charged with a shoulder slam. He caught her mid-run, grabbed her waist, twisted, and threw her over his hip. She hit the ground, breath knocked from her chest. Still, no pain. Just shock. She stared up at him from the floor. He wasn't even sweating. "Why won't you fight me?" she shouted. "I am," he said. She blinked. "Then why haven't you hit me?" "Because this fight isn't about pain," he replied. "It's about what you need to understand." He knelt beside her, not in pity, in power. "You keep trying to prove you're stronger," he continued. "But strength isn't loud. It's not pride. It's restraint." His hand touched the spot on her shoulder, the place he had bitten days ago. Her body tensed. His fingers were warm. "I bit you because I saw what you were hiding," he said. "You want someone who can match you, someone who won't break when you push." She stared into his eyes. There was no anger in them, no ego, just clarity. He leaned closer, whispering, "You don't need to dominate me." "Why?" "Because I'm already yours," he said, "and you're already mine." The audience above didn't understand what they saw. The match ended with no knockout, no surrender. But something had been won, or perhaps claimed. Zalari stood slowly. She looked around at all the faces watching. Pride told her to roar, to raise her fists. But something else spoke louder. She walked toward Cade, and in front of Everyone. She bowed her head for 2 seconds, only 2. But among her people, that meant one thing. Bond accepted. Back in her private chamber, hours later, Solari sat by herself in front of the mirror again. She stared at her reflection, at her bare shoulder, at the faint mark still left by the bite. She didn't feel weak. Anymore, she felt known, seen, balanced. Her communicator blinked. Cade, no need for more fights, but if you ever want to train again, she smiled. Solari, next time, I might bite back. Submission. The galaxy knew Solari as unbreakable. She was the sharpest claw of the Zarnai, a warrior who once tore through pirate fleets with her bare hands, a champion on 7 planets, a name spoken with fear. But tonight none of that mattered, because tonight she kneeled, not from defeat, not from weakness, but from something stronger than both. In the quiet hangar bay, far from the training arenas, she waited. Cade walked in, slow and steady, like always. No crowd, no weapons. Just 2 people, and the truth between them. I thought I needed to prove I was better, she said softly. He said nothing, only listened. I kept pushing you because I was scared. He raised one eyebrow. Scared of me? No. Scared of what I felt when I looked at you, she said. You made me feel seen, not judged, not handled, but understood. She stepped closer. You bit me not to hurt me, she whispered, but to remind me I'm not alone anymore. Cade's eyes didn't blink. You weren't supposed to feel all of that. But I did, she said. And I do. Then, without any sound, she did what no Zarnai had done for a human in living memory. She knelt, both knees, head lowered, tail still, not to serve, but to honor. Cade stepped forward. Not shocked, not proud, just steady. You don't have to kneel. I know, she said. That's why it matters. He reached down, touched her shoulder. No words. The bond didn't need them. Her body relaxed, her pulse slowed, her breathing steadied. She had never submitted in her life, not even to her generals. But this wasn't surrender. This was connection. Later that night, they sat together in the old storage bay where they had first trained. No armor, no protocol, just silence. I used to think humans were small, Solari said. And I thought Zarnai only had rage. Cade answered. They both smiled. How long will this bond last? She asked. Longer than either of us can plan for. And what if someone challenges it? Cade looked up at the stars beyond, the glass. Then let them come. A loud alert suddenly flashed on the wall, a distress signal. Pirate fleet approaching the system. Civilian ship under attack. Solari stood without hesitation. Cade stood beside her. She looked at him and spoke the words she had once sworn she'd never say to a human. Come with me. Fight beside me. Not as my rival, but as my equal. Cade smiled. No, I'll fight as something more. And when they stepped onto the battle deck together, side by side, every soldier turned to stare. A Zarnai warrior, a human legend, bound not by blood, not by rank, but by respect, fire, and the bite that started it all. His mate, his equal. The pirate fleet never stood a chance. They came with fire in numbers, 20 ships surrounding a lone civilian freighter. They expected surrender. They expected fear, but they didn't expect her, and they didn't expect him, Solari's. Fighter ship dropped in first, tearing through 2 pirate vessels with perfect strikes. Her movements were not wild anymore. They were focused, silent, deadly. Seconds later, Cade's gunship joined the assault. He flew like a ghost, no wasted, motion, no mercy. With every shot, his name echoed in enemy comms. It's the human, Stratus, get out. Get too late. On the bridge of the freighter, civilians watched the battle unfold through the viewing screen. One alien child whispered, Who are they? A trembling officer replied, That's not a warrior. That's a bonded pair. The fight ended in minutes. No survivors among the pirates, only silence, wreckage, and stars. Back aboard their carrier, Zalari and Cade removed their helmets side by side. Blood on her brow, smoke on his cheek. Both still standing tall, the commander approached them. "You were reckless," he said to Zalari. She wiped her lip. "We were efficient." Then he turned to Cade. "And you? You followed her orders?" "No," Cade replied, locking eyes with Zalari. "I fought beside my mate." The silence in the room was deep. "Ma mate?" the commander asked. Zalari stepped forward. "By Zarnay law he marked me. I accepted. We bonded." The alien officers behind them shifted uncomfortably. Some in disbelief. Some in respect. Others in fear. The idea of a human Zarnay bond was unheard of, and now it stood in front of them, unbreakable. In the following weeks, everything changed. The galaxy whispered their names. Some called it betrayal, some called it evolution. But none could ignore what they saw. An elite warrior once feared by all, now walked with a human beside her. Not in chains, not in submission, but in unity. Zalari's people summoned her back. Home, a trial, a test of loyalty. She stood before her clan, thousands watching. Her blade was ready, but her voice was sharper. "I did not weaken," she said. "I found someone who matched me." An elder shouted, "He is not Zarnay." "No," she replied, "and that is exactly why he matters." Cade stood behind her, silently. No weapons, no defense. But his presence said everything. If they moved against her, they would have to go through him, and the elders knew it. No one spoke after that. The challenge was over. Back on the ship, alone again, Zalari sat beside Cade near the viewing window. She looked at the stars. "You changed me," she said softly. "No," he said. "You let yourself grow." "Same thing," she whispered. Then she turned, slowly placing her forehead against his, their breath matched. No words needed.